As the March qualifiers come to a close, we're going to look at all the ins and outs of the World Cup and what has happened over the last 2 weeks during the qualifiers. As you can see by the change in the maps here, a lot has happened, so let's delve right into the action. Firstly, looking across at Asia, in Group A, the UAE secured their playoff spot with a huge win over the Korea Republic, after they lost their first game to Iraq, which would have caused some concern for their campaign. They will now be playing off against Australia, who finished third in Group B, meaning that Saudi Arabia and Japan have qualified for the World Cup. Australia lost their first game 2-0 against Japan, which meant they were no longer able to qualify directly. In other news for this group, Vietnam had a game to remember against Japan, where they earned themselves a massive 1-1 draw after taking the lead in the 19th minute. For the team ranked 98th in the world, that is a huge result against one of the big guns in Asia. Next for Asia is the fourth round game on June the 7th, where the UAE will play Australia in a single game playoff to determine who plays Peru in the Intercontinental Playoff. Moving over to Africa, and there were some interesting results over there. Firstly, let's start off with the big game. The replay of the 2021 AFCON final saw Egypt play Senegal. 2 1-0 wins for the home team saw them go to extra time and then penalties in the repeat of the final. Once again, Senegal came out on top with Mane scoring the winner. However, Senegal decided to put on a laser light show for the away side. Salah out here looking like he's in a Year 6 disco party. I personally don't agree with the fans doing this, and I think lasers should be banned from stadiums. Penalties are hard enough as they are already, and we just don't need to see this kind of thing happening. But either way, it's sad to think Mo Salah won't be at the World Cup this year. The top Premier League goal scorer and the second most assists, and he's still missing out. In the second game, Cameroon scored a 124th minute winner to send Algeria packing. Well, not packing because they're not going to the World Cup, if you know what I'm saying. Algeria looked to have won it in extra time thanks to an 118th minute goal from Ahmed Touba, but Karl Toko Ekambi had other ideas. This means the likes of Riyad Mahrez and Said Benrahma won't be going to Qatar later this year. Next, we saw Ghana win on away goals against Nigeria, meaning the Super Eagles are missing out on their first World Cup in 16 years. The fans weren't happy at full time, as you would imagine, and they stormed the pitch chasing the players off.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
The fourth tie saw Morocco face off with the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo held out well in the first leg, getting a 1-1 draw at home, but in the end Morocco proved to be too strong, winning the reverse tie 4-1 to see them comfortably through to the World Cup. In the final game, Mali and Tunisia played off for the last spot in the African region. This had to be the most lackluster of all the ties, with the aggregate score being 1-0 to Tunisia, thanks to a 36-minute own goal in the first leg. 180 minutes of football, and all they could score was an own goal. Over in the northern section of America, and we saw Canada, Mexico, and the United States all qualify. Alphonso Davies produced such a wholesome reaction when he realised his nation had qualified for the World Cup.
Done! Oh,
It's the first time the Canadians have been since 1986, which was 36 years ago. Of all the teams qualified, excluding Qatar, who are there for their first time, they have waited the longest time to reach the final stage again. They did lose their form a bit, losing to both Costa Rica and Panama, but managed to beat Jamaica by 4-0, claiming their place in this year's World Cup. The USA had a resounding 5-1 win against Panama, with Captain America scoring his first international hat-trick. Costa Rica also managed to pass Panama and qualify for the Intercontinental Playoff spot. They managed to win all their games, including 2 big ones against Canada and the US, to book themselves that playoff spot. Now, not much happened down here, so I'll keep this nice, short and sharp. Heading down to South America, and Uruguay and Ecuador have taken the final 2 spots to join Argentina and Brazil in this year's World Cup, while Peru have managed to hold out for the Intercontinental playoff spot. A 2-0 win against Paraguay was enough to see them progress after they lost 1-0 to Uruguay in the first game. They will now face the winner of the Asian playoff between the UAE and Australia. Now, over in Oceania, and it was all over the place. Firstly, on matchday 1, the Tahiti vs Vanuatu game was postponed due to COVID cases in the Vanuatu squad. They later then had to withdraw from the tournament because of that reason. The Cook Islands managed a decent result against the Solomon Islands, but they later also had to pull out due to COVID cases. This meant FIFA and OFC decided that the Solomon Islands vs Tahiti game would be a playoff match to decide who finished top of the group. Solomon Islands came out on top with a 3-1 win, putting them as group leaders. Over in Group B, and New Zealand won comfortably, only conceding 1 goal while managing to score 12. Papua New Guinea did really impress throughout this tournament though, and despite being the lowest ranked team in Group B, they managed to qualify for the semi-finals. They fought well against the Solomon Islands, but went on to lose 3-2 in a promising tournament for them. Meanwhile, New Zealand beat Tahiti by a 1-0 to put themselves through to the final. The final was rather one-sided in the end, with New Zealand coming out as 5-0 winners. They now have to face off against Costa Rica in the playoff for one of those last 3 spots in Qatar. Finally, over in Europe, and what have we seen? North Macedonia with potentially the upset of the year, knocking the Italians out with a 92nd minute winner. They did, however, eventually lose to Portugal thanks to a Bruno Fernandes double. Joining the Portuguese will be Poland after receiving a bye in the semi-finals thanks to Russia before beating Sweden 2-0 in their final. Meanwhile, in Path A, Wales and Austria was the only game to be played, with the Welshmen coming out on top 2-1. Bale had some words to say after being called a Welsh parasite by Spanish media.
Cool. No.
Scotland will play Ukraine in June before Wales play the winner of that game for the final spot at this year's World Cup. There has, however, been rumours circulating online that Iran could be banned after not allowing more than 2,000 women attend their match against Lebanon, despite the fact they had purchased tickets. They were warned against this previously in 2019, and FIFA could actually ban them for repeat offence and would put the next highest ranked coefficient team, which would be Italy, through to the World Cup. Well, at first this didn't seem likely, but a few more articles have been circulating online now, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I don't think it is likely, but you never know. But it hasn't stopped the Italian media from being hopeful. Personally, I don't think they deserve to be there because they didn't qualify. I think instead UAE should take their place as the next highest team in that group, and then Iraq should be in that playoff against Australia, if not just giving it to Australia directly, which means that Iran would be removed in that instance. That is only if Iran are removed, though. 14 more teams have qualified in March, with only 3 spots remaining to be decided in June. Some big names are going to miss out, while the likes of Ronaldo and Lewandowski have booked their place. All 29 teams, plus the 7 yet to be decided, find out their fate this weekend when the World Cup draw takes place. The draw will be updated on FIFA's social media pages and probably streamed in some countries, but by the time this video comes out, it probably would have already happened. So let me know your thoughts on the results of the draw, and I look forward to seeing who gets in a group with Germany and Ghana. Anyway, that's all for this video. Just leave your comments, what you thought of the qualifiers, the draw, what you think of the World Cup, and I'll see you next time.